Hugh Freeze and Auburn just need to block out all the noise and send a confident, positive message this week at SEC Media Days. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Uptempo Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dustin Smith. We are one day away from SEC Media Days, and I think it's very important that Hugh Freeze, Connor Lew, Keldrick Falk, Jackson Arnold step up to the podium this week and just send a confident, positive message because let's be honest, guys, these last month or two of the summer has not been that fun for Auburn. Starts on the recruiting trail. Then you kind of have this whole golf story that's been going around, and everyone's just taking shots. So what can the Tigers do to kind of turn that narrative back into a positive as we get into the season? You know, I want to start on the recruiting trail. A couple weeks ago, I did an episode, and I titled it, Auburn's Losing Culture is Affecting Auburn Recruiting. And I still believe that. But when I say that, and what I meant about 3 weeks ago when I put that episode out was I expected Auburn to be around 20th to 25th coming into the season in the overall recruiting rankings. I expected Auburn to finish second or third for some of the big prospects on the board. And I expected that to be because I felt like the big-time prospects would be looking at Auburn with a little bit of hesitation. Hugh Freeze is still a great recruiter. This staff can still recruit. Auburn still has the resources. I thought Auburn will still be okay because of just how good this staff is at recruiting with Hugh Freeze leading the charge. But you've had 2 losing seasons, all the stuff that we all know, right? So I felt like there would be just a little bit of caution on the recruiting trail. What I did not anticipate was being down in the 70s and the 80s. And since I posted that episode, there's been a big conversation that I haven't really touched on this show. So I kind of want to start the narrative. I kind of want to start there and talk about just how the narrative has shifted and kind of where it's gone. And, you know, a lot of people take shots at Hugh Freeze, and I know that he's a person that people enjoy taking shots at. You know, I've had my criticisms on this show. My criticisms have usually been about on the field, you know, when the ball is kicked off, that kind of stuff. I feel like a lot of the shots that are taken at him personally are just unwarranted, and people like to kind of kick somebody when they're down, especially Auburn and especially Hugh Freeze. I mean, you saw from the moment Auburn hired him, there was just a lot of pushback because of things have gone in the past. A lot of people are just never going to let that stuff go. They're never going to forgive him, excuse me. So a lot of this criticism about the golf and all that, it's such an easy narrative for somebody like AJ McCarron, who I'm not going to give all that too much time of day. It's just not worthy. He doesn't deserve it. But what these people are doing is they're seeing Auburn down in the 70s and they're taking their shots. And they're saying, oh, Hugh Freeze is making excuses, or Hugh Freeze has mailed it in. He's golfing too much and he's not spending the time that he needs to be spending on the recruiting trail. And that's why Auburn is so low in the recruiting rankings. We all know that's just false. Quite frankly, John Cohen is leading the charge right now at what's going on at Auburn. And I'm sure all of y'all know what it is at this point. But if you don't, with the house settlement that is coming into play, with now college athletes being able to get rev sharing from the universities, there's now going to be a cap of what you're allowed to spend on your football roster for your entire athletic department. But specifically for football, you're going to have so much money put to the side to use on your football team. And you can't go over that cap, or there will be penalties, the same as there is in the majority of pro sports outside of Major League Baseball. So what John Cohen has decided to do is play by the rules the way that he's interpreted them. And right now, you know, Hugh Freeze spoke at the ambush event at Lake Martin a couple weeks ago. He said, I'm kind of shocked that our offers are significantly lower than these other teams. There are some schools that are offering up to $150,000 more dollars than Auburn is offering right now. All things even, if a guy likes LSU, FSU, and Ole Miss and Auburn, and 3 of those schools are kind of in the same ballpark money-wise, and Auburn's almost $100,000, $80,000, you know, in that range. If Auburn's that far off, well, you can't blame the athlete. He's got to do what's best for him and his family. That's a lot of money to leave on the table. You got to at least be in the ballpark. You got to be playing ball. And right now, Auburn's just not. The reason for that is John Cohen simply doesn't think that money's going to be there. His interpretation of the new house settlement and the way that it's all going to play out is we have to follow these guidelines, and this is the way the money's supposed to work. Now, we'll know pretty soon. I know August 1st is a big date. I don't think August 1st is going to be this, okay, we find out everything type date. That's kind of when stuff starts to go into effect. But we'll know soon. We'll know a month or two down the line if some of these schools that are not playing by what the new rules are supposed to be are going to be punished. And that's kind of the big question from Auburn's perspective. That's my opinion on what's going on right now. My big question is simply, is Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, Oregon, all these teams, USC, are they really doing it that much are they that much in the wrong and Auburn's just that much in the right? What are the chances that when the dust settles, that Auburn's going to be the shining beacon of morality and all of the other schools are going to get punished? I just don't see it. It hasn't been my experience as an Auburn fan, which leads me and before we get into that, it's just not realistic, right? To assume that all these big institutions, these big powerful institutions are all going to get reprimanded, and they might get a slap on the wrist, but are they really going to get reprimanded so much to where they have to start unloading commitments and cutting kids from their class, and it's going to blow up in their face because all this money that they promise is not going to be there? I hope. That would be cool if John Cohen was just dead on this one. It's hard for me to look forward and project forward and see it playing out that way. But I'm going to say this in John Cohen's defense. One, college athletics is changing so much. He's trying to do the right thing. And I believe that based off of what the interpretation of the rules are, he probably is doing the right thing. It's just, again, the question is, are all these other institutions, and I don't even want to say that they're cheating, right? Like I cover Auburn. I know what's going on with Auburn, but there's definitely there's a big difference in how Auburn's institution is interpreting the new rules and how they're going to play out, and all these other universities are. So it's tough for me to see that big gap and feel like Auburn's going to be the one that was completely in the right on this, and that all these other teams are going to have to course correct, and they're all going to look at Auburn by the end of it and say, man, John Cohen and Auburn, they really nailed it. Even if John Cohen is in the right on this and how it all is going to play out, I still just, again, I see him maybe slapping those other schools on the wrist and saying, hey, you can't do that. Maybe making some exceptions, bending the rules a little bit. That's just been my experience, which getting into that, look at the Cam Newton investigation. Look at the Austin Wiley and Danjel Purifoy and that whole FBI investigation to the basketball program and how long that went on. Look at the way they did Sharif Cooper and just staying on Bruce Pearl the way that they have since he's been at Auburn. And just look at the way Auburn has been treated in contrast to some of their biggest rivals. So I don't blame the institution of Auburn for being cautious here and saying, hey, we want to play by the rules. We want to do what's right. Now, here's what's important, and here's why I would say I'm concerned, but I'm not worried about Auburn finishing in the 70s in recruiting, right? Auburn will get up in the top 25. Because if we get far enough down this road, if we get into late August, early September, Auburn's not going to just stand there with their hands in their pockets. Okay? With money in their pockets and say, nope, we're going to still follow the rules while all this other stuff is going on. Auburn will be ready to pivot. Make no mistake about it. There's another narrative kind of going out there that Auburn's out of money. Look, Auburn spent a lot of money on the last two classes. Auburn has spent a lot of money on keeping guys like Janai Broome last year, getting a guy like Tahad Pettiford back this year. Auburn has spent a lot of money on, just look at you got the top left tackle, the top right tackle. You got a big-time quarterback. You got a big-time receiver, the number one portal player in Eric Singleton. Just those four guys alone that you added out of the portal, that's a good chunk of that cap, I would imagine. that cost a couple of million. So if I'm just guessing, right? So all that being said, Auburn's not out of money. And Auburn might not have what they've had over the past couple of classes to spend. This might be one of those, hey, let's kind of get the money back up together and regroup. Because with a cap going into place, you're not going to be dropping bags every single class. You're going to have to kind of look at your classes and say, okay, this year we got to go pretty hard, maybe at these position groups, next year, these position groups. You're going to have to kind of plan your money out. So I never thought that this year was going to be a year where Auburn was just going to be one of the biggest spenders in high school recruiting, but being as far off as Auburn has been on some of these recruitments when it comes to the money and when it comes to the offer, that gap will be closed if we get down this road and Auburn sees, oh, well, there are certain things that we can do to close this gap. Auburn's got the money to make up some of this stuff. Kentucky is only outbidding Auburn for 4-star wide receivers because of this current situation. If Auburn really wants to go back in and flip Denarius Gray and or a situation like that, maybe that recruitment might be over already. I do know Kentucky values him as like a top prospect in their class, period. And Auburn might not look at him as highly as Kentucky does. But if Auburn wants to get back into some of those recruitments and flip those kids back, a Shadarius Tootle, somebody like that, anybody that's flipped over the last couple of weeks, I feel like a month or two down the road, if it still keeps going the way that it's going, Auburn will just pivot and Auburn will pull the bag out and Auburn will get close enough in the offer to make it a competitive recruitment again. So I just think Auburn's playing it safe right now. I don't blame Auburn for playing it safe right now. And I think that the criticisms that are aimed at Hugh Freeze because of this situation are people that have not researched the topic and just don't understand what's going on. So my final take on all this is I'm in wait and see mode. I trust that Auburn is ready to pivot if they're not right on this. I trust that Auburn has a backup plan, has some money stashed away ready to get back into some of these recruitments and get back up into the top 20 where you got to be to compete in the SEC. Again, I never thought this was going to be a top 10 class, or at least after the way that last year ended. And then kind of look at the money that was spent in the portal. I feel like Auburn would kind of knock on the door. The goal should be to get into that top 15, top 12 range in this year's recruiting rankings. And maybe Auburn's too far down to do that now. Winning cures a lot, right? Auburn goes out, wins 9-10 games, and then starts spending money. Or if they're right on the way this is all going to play out, there's a lot still left to be determined. So I'm going to sit here. I'm just going to be cautiously optimistic. Y'all know me. I don't like it. I don't like seeing Auburn down there with the Texas States and the Tulanes in recruiting. That's not a good feeling. But there's still time. And also, man, the way that college athletics changes every single day now, I'm not going to sit here and pound the table and act like I know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody does. This is a crazy, crazy times. We just saw Texas Tech post an offer this week, a contract offer, an agreement, 3 years with X amount of dollars, just like the NFL, just like pro sports. For a high school kid that's never played a down of college football, that you have no idea if he's going to pan out, got a contract offer for a couple $1 million signed, and Texas Tech posted it like, "Hey, this is what it is," and it's all legal, apparently, all above the board. So, and we'll see if Texas Tech clears the NIL August 1st when all this comes. If they get cleared, we'll see how all that plays out. But it's just changing, man. It's changing every single day. It's always something new. Until some of these rules are kind of in place and established, that's when I'll get more firm opinions. But right now, I'm in wait and see mode, guys. But there is one thing that Auburn can do this week in Atlanta. Let's get to that next right here on the Up Tempo podcast. So there's only one way to shut noise up for real, and that's win. And as we all know, if Hugh Freeze had won a couple of these games last year, that we felt like Auburn should have won, that they gave away, a lot of this stuff you wouldn't be hearing. Maybe the NIL situation with the way Auburn's handling the rules and all that, that's a little bit separate. But this whole golf stuff, Hugh Freeze is golfing too much. He's checked out. He's just trying to get the paycheck and dip from Auburn, man. And just all the shots. Everyone kicking Auburn when we're down right now, right? That can all change with winning. And it's only going on because Auburn hasn't been winning. So let's be clear on that. But what Auburn can't, and there's a certain degree of it that you can't eliminate until you win games. And I think that's fair. I think it's valid because the point of sports is to win the game. There are some people that need to hear that again, so I'll say it again. I'm going to go Herm Edwards on you. You play to win the game. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Winning the football game. Okay? Basketball, whatever, but you got to win the game. So if you do that, then all this summer talk means nothing. And we all understand that. Somebody's going to put that in the comments. Well, if they just went, we know that. We know that. Okay? We still got to have discussion and discourse. What Auburn can do to make this remaining period of the summer until we get into fall camp, until we kick the ball off versus Baylor, to kind of turn this narrative around, is sound confident, sound determined, sound like you know that this is going to be the year that you turn it around. And Hugh Freeze and the players that will be speaking, I'm not saying they have to get up on the podium and guarantee SEC championships, guarantee a natty or a playoff berth. Don't put your foot in your mouth. Don't say anything stupid, right? Don't create any unwanted headlines, but make no mistake about it. You're going to be asked a stupid question about golf. Someone's going to be like, man, Hugh Freeze, what's the handicap at? There's going to be stuff like that. Jackson Arnold going to get asked about Oklahoma and how that went and him transferring to Auburn, and can he improve, and will this year be different for him? These are the questions that are going to be asked. Hugh Freeze is going to be asked about being in the 70s in the overall team rankings right now for the 2026 recruiting class. All these questions will be asked. He'll be asked about his first 2 seasons being losing seasons, about the games that were given away last year. And those are, other than the golf, that's a stupid story, but here we are again. If you're losing games, this is what happens. But Auburn can control all of this one simple way. Just confidently say, hey, we're going to kick the ball off versus Baylor, and we feel like we're going to field a good team when that happens. We feel like we're going to win enough football games this year to stop all that. No more talent gap, right? You're bringing an offensive lineman. You're bringing a defensive lineman. Both guys that if they have good years, they should be high picks in the NFL draft. There's a good possibility neither one of them make it out of the first round. So you should be able to send the message that we feel good about the line of scrimmage. We feel good about D-line. We feel good about O-line. Better than we have, and Hugh Freeze should be saying in my tenure here at Auburn. The message should be, we feel good about quarterback. I'm bringing him. We feel like we put the weapons around Jackson Arnold to where what happened to him last year won't happen. And there's a way of doing that without taking shots at Oklahoma. You've got to go to Norman. So don't take shots at Oklahoma. There's a way of doing that. Just say, hey, I've got faith in Cam Coleman. I've got faith in Eric Singleton. I've got faith in Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons. I've got faith in our three-headed monster at running back here. Brought in Robinson from UConn. Feel good about Cobb being able to take the next step. Damari, been waiting his turn, finally going to get his chance. Just send this confident message. Sound determined. Say, hey, the 4 seasons in a row at Auburn of losing, having a losing record, is over. Enough is enough. And we're going to come out there this fall. We're going to shut all this up, and we're going to win football games. If you're Hugh Freeze, you get asked about golf. Hey, I like to golf. A lot of people do. When I win football games this fall, it's not going to be a story. None of y'all are going to be worried about it. It's that simple. Stay on that trajectory. Don't try to get cute with it, right? And don't do what you did on the Next Round Live a month or 2 ago where you're almost trying too hard. That's why I put the be confident. Because remember on the Next Round Live, he tried like too hard to kind of tamper expectations and not give that clickbait soundbite answer. And he said, well, I know we got to make a bowl. And then everybody got mad at him for saying that. Hey, coming out to win football games. We got 12 football games. Every Saturday, we're going to line up. I think we're going to have a roster good enough to win them. That's our goal. Get back to playing Auburn football. Our fans deserve it. That's got to be the message, guys. It's got to be the message. You do that, you get out of there without creating any sound bites, without creating any noise. And if you do it the right way, you might have media people around the SEC stopping and saying, hey, we actually talked to the Auburn players. We actually talked to the Auburn coach. We actually heard from them for a whole day. And, man, I'm looking at their roster. They actually got a lot of talent. Sound pretty confident. Sound like they know what they got going on. Everybody's saying the same thing. That'll be a big difference, right? We can go back to some of the stuff that happened in the season last year. Peyton saying one thing, Hugh saying the other. Everybody on the same page, man. Everybody on the same page, spinning the same message. Win football games. Nobody cares about nothing else. Fans don't care about nothing else. Media doesn't care about nothing else. The Auburn family wants to win football games. Our goal is to come out there and make that happen this year. The first 2 years haven't been good enough. We're going to change that when the ball kicks off versus Baylor. All right, guys. So as you're listening to this, I'm probably in the car on the way up to Atlanta, maybe already there, getting ready, getting set up for SEC Media Days. So now is the time where you want to sign up for these memberships. You will get exclusive content from Atlanta, $3.99 a month for the JV squad, $5.99 a month for the varsity squad. JV squad has members-only live chat, member shout-outs, priority reply to comments. You get early access to videos. You get exclusive gifts. You get in the game day group chat. That's always a good time, man, giving you guys recruiting updates. It's really a lot of fun during the season. Love interacting with you guys. It's a direct way to connect with me. If you sign up with the varsity squad, you get all of that in the JV squad. Exclusive recruiting update videos, exclusive film breakdowns, gameplay with me. We can get onto this EA College Football 26. You can play me. You can hop in a dynasty. There's all kind of opportunities there and discounted merchandise. So sign up for those today. If you want to leave a super thanks, that would help greatly. And just subscribe to the channel, man. Smash that thumbs up button. If you're listening on audio, please follow. Please leave a 5-star review if you have not done that already. And I will see you guys from Atlanta next week. I love you. I appreciate you all. War Damn Eagle.